Hi again, this is Chris here, and I just thought it would be useful to shoot another quick video by way of answering a question that somebody's emailed in, because I thought this question might apply to many different people. So this actually comes from somebody called Joe, and I won't give you his full name, but his email says, Chris, the lack of work coming from some of my customers as their order books are much lower than expected is presenting me with some serious challenges at the start of this year. So Joe has just taken the opportunity to reflect on how's this year going, and what's his main struggle, or what's his main challenge. So Joe, what you're saying there is that you've got customers who are not, their order books are lower than expected, and therefore they're not placing orders on you. Okay, so what that is an indication of is clearly you're in the B2B market, and it tells me that you don't have enough customers for your business right now. Now, there may be that you have you're very heavily dependent on one particular customer, and that represents a very big part of the business. And when times are good, of course, that's great. But even when times are good or bad, there are significant risks, of course, of operating where you've only got one or two big customers taking up a big proportion of the business. So if you can get more customers into the business, and I'll talk about that in a second, but if you can get more customers into the business, then of course you're diluting the effect of the reliance on the big ones, if that's relevant, if that applies to your business. The second angle on that, if you like, is that it may be that the customers that your business is focused on are all in one particular sector or industry, and maybe that sector is on a downward curve at the moment, or has hit a particular problem, and so all of the customers there are going to be experiencing the same or similar challenges. And if that's the case, again, you've got higher risk in the business, and that might be presenting some of the symptoms that you're experiencing and you're describing in your email to me. So what can you do about that? Well, the short answer, of course, is to get more customers into your business. Now, when you think strategically about that, I know it's easy to say get more customers, but when you think strategically about that, how does that happen, and what do you do? How do you go about it? Well, there are two main areas to think about from a strategic approach. The first, in terms of winning new customers, the first is about lead generation, right? Identifying potential businesses that you could be dealing with, potential customers who become your prospects, all right? So lead generation, and I'll talk about that in a second. The second aspect is conversion rate. So how many of the prospects that you get engaged with and you have conversations with or you have communication with actually turn into customers? Okay, and let's look at both of those things. So lead generation and conversion. Now, lead generation is all about identifying potential customers, and prospects that may become customers. So the question for you, Joe, and for anyone else who is struggling with the same problem as Joe, because Joe, you're not alone, I assure you, is who can you serve? What are the kinds of businesses who will be wanting to buy your products and services? And where do they hang out? Where can you find them? Where can you are there industry lists, for example, that you can access? Are there databases that you can buy? Are there things like pay-per-click advertising online? Whether social media? Now, in your particular sector, I've had a look at the website. In your particular sector, I suspect social media might have a bearing, but it's more likely to be outside of social media, I guess. So what are the sources for you to get leads and create more prospects for you? All right, that's the question to ask yourself. Where can you find and identify targets? And having identified those, and if you want more information or more to talk that through, please get in contact with me. No problem at all, Joe. I'd be very happy to have a conversation. But having identified where they are, then what do you do to contact them, to attract them? So do you, for example, write to them? Do you phone them up? Do you send them an email if you've got their email address? There are many different techniques and tactics that you can use. What I'm always encouraging businesses to do, and people running businesses, is to think strategically. Do the smallest number of things, the fewest things that you can do, but do them really well. Focus on them so you get great results. So, for example, if you know that you'll want to be targeting people in a particular area, whether it's a geographic area or it's an industry specialism or whatever, and you can identify and buy a contact list, or you can identify through pay-per-click exactly the right kind of buyers, or maybe going through LinkedIn or whatever. There are many different ways, but if you can identify what they're going to be, what are then going to be their triggers, their hot buttons to attract them? What is it that's going to make them say, oh, that's an interesting one. I need to become more aware. I want to learn more about this business. So it's making contact and generating that lead so that you can follow it up. So it's not just a question of writing to them, for example. It's also then being able to follow it up with something, or asking them to take some action, maybe download something from your website, or get in contact for some reason, where you can capture their email address or phone number, or a way that you can keep in touch with them, and then have that follow-up mechanism. So that's lead generation. Okay, identify where your ideal customers are going to be, and then find a way of contacting them. And if you're struggling with that, Joe, please get in contact. No problem at all. The second part after lead generation is then conversion. So conversion is the state of, just so that we're clear on what I'm talking about here. The conversion is getting someone from being a prospect to saying, yes, I'm going to buy from you, I'm now going to become a customer. Right? So how is your conversion process? Again, think strategically. It isn't a question of just you're going to have a conversation with a customer and they're going to buy, and then you have a different conversation with a different prospect, and then because you did it in a different way, they might not buy. Be strategic in your approach, be structured in your approach, because then you can improve things and get it into much more predictable process. So I've had a look at Joe specifically here. I've had a look at the website for your business. Now that website at the moment, I appreciate I don't know the business, so it may be that you've just developed the website, or you're in the process of it, but there are some big gaps in that website at the moment, where there are pages that say under construction and so on. So right now it's going to be very difficult to get good conversion rates based on the website. So you've got to make sure that your website is serving you. The second element of sort of linked to what you could put on the website, but also what you could put in letters or in anything you say in phone conversations or in face-to-face meetings, is your proposition. Are you clear in your message why they should buy from you, why you are a good supplier, a good partner maybe to them? All right? If you're not clear and you don't expressly state why they need to be doing business with you, then they'll make their own minds up. And for example, are you always going to be cheaper than anywhere else? That's a hard strategy to follow, but obviously lots of people try that way. But are you going to be cheaper than anyone else? And if you are, then you lead with that. Are you going to provide the best quality, the best service that they will ever experience? Are you going to be the most responsive, the quickest turnaround time, whatever it is? Are you going to have something unique that makes you stand apart? You've got to be clear. It doesn't have to be unique, but it does have to be clear, so that you're effectively telling your prospect why they should be doing business with you rather than someone else. Okay, so that's all. That's one part of when it's a massive topic, so I can't cover it all here. But that's one way of getting of improving the conversions. So if you can improve the lead generation activities, and if you can improve the conversion rates following up with those lead generation activities, you're going to get more customers into the business. All right. Now, both of those activities, it's very easy to do lots and lots of things and do it very sporadically. Try something, think it doesn't work, try something else, always being reactive in your thinking in both lead generation and in conversions, right? But if you can think strategically and say, right, I want to achieve this number of new clients, new customers into my business in the next quarter, the next 6 months, next year, or whatever it is, you know what your targets are. You therefore know how many you're going to try to target for prospecting, lead generation. You know that you can start to track the conversion rates from first contact into conversation, from conversation into client or customer. You can start to track how your whole process is working, and then you can ratchet it up and improve what you do. And gradually, you'll be able to and maybe quite quickly if you think strategically and have a really clear proposition, maybe then you'll be able to get the business where you really want it to be. So I hope you found that helpful and thought-provoking. My suggestion to you is to think strategically all the time. Think strategically. Where you've got a problem of businesses, not enough businesses buying from you, you need more customers. Get into lead generation, focus on your conversion process, and then you'll be spreading the risk within your business and you won't be suffering from the same symptom that you're facing now. I hope that was useful. Please contact me, get in touch. I'm very happy to have a conversation and help you out if you want some more ideas. And I hope that makes a difference to you, and good luck.